And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of September 4th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. When you hear Mummy Dummy, do you think of Tales from the Crypt or tombs in ancient Egypt? Well, remove the wrap from your eyes. When I come back, you'll see how mummies affect automotive safety.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Mummy dummies may have been cool in ancient Egypt, but today's version vies for the seventh wonder of the modern world. These high-tech creations, pregnant female dummies, which allow researchers to better understand how a mother and her unborn baby can be affected in a crash, come in two models, real and virtual. While the University of Michigan developed Mama-to-Be, a physical prototype, Volvo boasts the world's first computerized mommy. Together, these no-dummy mummies may help manufacturers improve structural designs and save lives. Well, that about wraps up this Car Clinic Minute. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Summer vacation's great for pondering life's mysteries. I don't know much about E equals MC squared, but I do know an automotive enigma I can square. When we come back, it's aerodynamics.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A favorite summertime dilemma. To increase your vacation MPG, should you keep your windows up and use the AC or down and hope for a breeze? Well, based on aerodynamics, a slick car with windows up offers less resistance and glides more easily through the atmosphere, thereby using less gas at highway speeds, even with the AC on. So switch your air conditioner on max. You'll arrive at your vacation destination cool, calm, collected, and sooner because you'll make fewer stops to refuel. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. A friend asked Henry Ford, "Soy, what you been up to?" To most people, this has been a greeting, but to Mr. Ford, it was an idea. I'll tell you how he used his noodle when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Henry Ford's known for great ideas, but he really used his bean on this one. Soybean, that is. During the Depression, Ford's chemists focused on converting agricultural products into industrial products to stimulate the farm-based economy. Enter the soybean who, in My Fair Lady style, was transformed from dirt-poor roots into the plastic of star car parts like horn buttons, gear shift knobs, and body enamel. Soy wouldn't, you know? Ford didn't stop there. He also developed a soy wool-like fabric that cost half of sheep's wool. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Rey Mysterio and The Big Show may take the belt in wrestling, but when it comes to child seat safety, you can be the champ. Get ready to rumble when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In this corner, weighing in at 2,500 pounds, your new car. And in this corner, your 25-pound toddler. Although the tail of the tape is a little offset, you can even the odds on child seat safety with SLAP. S. Seat cushions should fit snugly to the angle of your car seat, and the bottom cushion should ride level and secure. L. Make sure your new car has latch, which means lower anchors and tethers for child safety seats. A. Auto-lock retractor belts help keep kids safe even after child seat days are done. And P. Properly install and check connections every time you strap your child in for a ride. Now, you're a safety heavyweight, ready to take on the world. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Tiger Woods cringes every time he does it, and it cost Arnie Palmer a Masters. Slices or hooks on the fairway may cost a green jacket, but I'll tell the price tag for veering off center on the roadway when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The fairway's nothing. The price you'll pay for slices or hooks on the roadway will cost more than a green jacket. And here's how to judge a vehicle that's below par. If you're motoring behind slicers or hookers, you'll recognize them by their tendency to creep left or right. If you're the driver, you'll feel your car pull this way or that and find yourself manually overcompensating. In either case, trying to keep a car down the middle indicates a problem with alignment, which is a double bogey. It'll cost miles per gallon because it takes energy to right a wrong, and loss of control, which is a real hazard. So correct your vehicle swing. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us? You will love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, 888 Car Clinic is our second number that we use. We bought that number, I don't know, years ago because 888 Car Clinic is easy to remember. And I'll make it even easier for you to call 888-227-2546. That's 888-227-2546. Got an email here from our Car Clinic mailbox. Says, Bobby, I listened to you on 98.1 FM, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Love your show. My wife drives the 2007 Sentra, and we have had a problem for many years. When the humidity is high or fog or raining, her compressor will not work, for a while anyway, and sometimes all day. When we take it into the Nissan dealer, and folks, this is typical of a car, isn't it? When we take it into the Nissan dealer, of course, it's working for them, and they can't find anything wrong and have no answers. I was wondering if you could point us in the right direction. With all this rain from Harvey, It's very stressful to my wife not having a compressor working when she needs it, despite being dangerous. Thank you, Stephen W. And when I come back I'll share my answer with you, which is a little bit longer than this, so I don't have time before the break comes up. But I'll share with you how I suggested to Stephen that he approach that situation. Understand now, it has to be electrical, because whenever it's foggy or raining or there's a lot of high humidity, the AC compressor won't kick in. When I come back, I'll take your calls and fill you the rest of the story. We recently sat down with General Tire Senior Communications Specialist John Robinson. We talked about a number of things, including the numbers on your tire's sidewall. What do they actually mean? Let's hear from John.
The numbers on the sidewall give you a great deal of information. For instance, 265, 70, R17. The 265 is telling you the tread width. The 70 is going to give you the aspect ratio of that tire. The R stands for radial construction. And then the 17 is your rim diameter. And then there's usually a couple numbers after that. Let's say for this one, a 115S. The 115 is your load index, with the S being your speed index.
Now, General Tire is proud to introduce the G-Max AS05. Featuring smart technologies, the G-Max AS05 provides visual wear alerts, all-season performance, and longer tread life. It truly is a smarter tire for a smarter driver. Try them risk-free by taking advantage of the 45-day customer satisfaction trial. Learn more about the G-Max AS05 at GeneralTire.com. We recently had an '08 Ford Expedition come into the shop, and the owner was complaining about an awful burning smell after driving the car any distance. After giving the vehicle a once-over, we found leaking valve cover gaskets which were allowing oil to run down onto the exhaust manifold. The entire engine bay was also covered with a fine film of oil from a bad power steering hose. We needed to clean everything first so we could accurately diagnose and fix the problem quickly. We used Behrman B33 engine degreaser and sprayed it onto a cool engine. We let it sit for a short time, then rinsed it off, leaving everything clean and oil-free. Once we replaced the hose and the valve cover gaskets, the Ford was ready to get back on the road. Behrman B33 engine degreaser was perfect for this job. The fast spray-on, rinse-off cycle saves time and conserves water. The product's also safe to use. Its biodegradable formula contains no harmful phosphates, solvents, abrasives, or VOCs. Learn more about Behrman B33 Degreaser and other great Behrman products at BehrmanProducts.com. That's BehrmanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us. Just remember, from 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe, which is really a nice studio created by yours truly and team and manufactured by Acoustic Systems in Austin, Texas. And the studio floor weighs about 10,000 pounds and is it's a subfloor because the concrete that it's resting on is separated from this, so the elevated of the floor here. What that does, that keeps out vibrations from the traffic, because our facility is located on a main thoroughfare, and also it's airtight, which keeps noise out. And it's the place to be if a Harvey, or an Ivan as it were, ever comes to the Gulf Coast of Florida, which is where we're located. This is where I will be, right in the studio, because if this studio gets blown away, there won't be any Pensacola left. Not only are we way above sea level in our location, but we also have this building within a building, and this building has 4-inch thick walls. If you've ever been to a hearing aid room or had a hearing test in one of those little booths? Well, that's exactly what this studio is, manufactured by Acoustic Systems, and the founder of Acoustic Systems was a doctor, of course, of hearing. So how interesting and cool is that? We're going to take Fred's call, but before I go to Fred, I want to fill out and share with you the Car Clinic mailbox and invite you. Jan is in the house, and she's going. Aren't you going on vacation, Miss Jan? Monday? Tomorrow? I can't hear you. Tomorrow. Oh, there you go. Tomorrow. And actually, she put off her vacation day so she could answer the phones and help out today. So thank you, Miss Jan. Appreciate that. She'll take your call. Miss Jan will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Put you in the queue, and then I'll put you on the air. As I said, I'm going to go to Fred, but first, I had this Car Clinic mailbox. I had an email from Stephen W. about his wife's air conditioner compressor that didn't work when it rained or when there's a lot of high humidity. So here's what I wrote back to Steve. From your description, it appears you have an electrical connection or electronic module problem. Here's how I suggest you approach the solution. On a normal day, when the compressor is working, spray Windex liberally onto the compressor connections to include the entire front of the compressor clutch. After some 5 minutes of thoroughly soaking this area with no change in operation, spray the wiring harness from the compressor to the firewall, or as possible, to include any wiring harness connectors that feed this circuit. Perhaps you can locate its tender spot and cause the compressor to stop working. If so, you can get it fixed. Got it? Because the dealer couldn't find a problem. If he sprays Windex on it and makes it go away, of course, when the Windex dries, like in 2 minutes, and it starts working again, you'll know that's the culprit. We have found many defective ignition coils or spark plug wires, when cars had wires, and some still do, that you could use Windex, because Windex removes the surface tension of water, and like we use it to put decals on, and it allows, if there's any leakage of voltage or any possibility of voltage going to the least path of resistance, it's going to do that instead of jumping the spark plug in the cylinder. So I went on to say, Stephen, if the above procedure does not produce any results, have the service shop remove the electrical plug at the connector and clean its connections and squeeze the terminals to ensure a tight fitment. Then reconnect using electrical grease. We like to use Silglide, which is a silicone lubricant that is for brake calipers, but almost any heavy-duty lubricant pushed into the electrical connector will help keep water out and current flowing. Feel free to share these suggestions with your local technician, as I imagine he or she will totally understand. And that was my suggestion to Stephen W. from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Now we're going to take a call from Fred, and then your calls at 888-227-2546. Fred, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Good morning, Bobby. I'm calling about my 05 Sonata, 135,000 miles. I have a problem with idle speed vacillating between 500 and 1600 RPMs. It for 5 seconds it's at 500, and then for 10 seconds it's at 1600, and then it just vacillates back and forth. I have no check engine light on, and we scanned it, and there are no error codes. Do you have any idea what's going on there?
Well, yes, there has to be a challenge with the throttle body, or if this car is equipped with an EGR valve, that could be a problem. And I feel like it could be as well a sensor. But you just stated that there are no codes and there's no check engine light. So that sort of, that tosses out some of those electronics that normally control the idle speed. But let me break it down for you to make it very simple. Any air that goes into an engine, or the control of air that goes into an engine, just like the control of air when you breathe, if you pinch your nose and cover your mouth, you will suffocate. If you close the airways off to an engine, it will not run. Just like if you close the exhaust off an engine, it will not run, because what you can't get out, what you get in. So having said that, the idle air controller, which is what I would focus on, The idle air controller controls according to the temperature of the engine and the inputs to the computer, the idle speed. The idle air controller, as I like to say, controls, on some cars, the throttle opening, which is the door to the mouth of the engine, just like if you open your mouth and breathe. But on some cars, there's what I call a stage door. You know, like you're going to a theater and they've got a half a dozen doors so you can get the crowd in and out. But a stage door would be like for one or two people to walk in at a time around the back. So a stage door will only allow X amount of air to come in. It's designed that way, the car's engine, so that if the stage door is left open, and I'm thinking now, I'm sharing with you what Audi was accused of years ago with cars running over people because they idled too fast and it ran away. The stage door is limited to the cold starts, which is about what you said, 1600 RPM. And that way, you don't have a car that runs away. Granted, if you crank a car up and put it in gear, let your foot off the brake, or if historically, before we had these lockout devices, if you cranked the car up and then put it in gear and you didn't have your foot on the brake, boom, it's going to take off, and you say, oh my God. And if you had it, if you put it in reverse or drive, and somebody was in front of the car and you did not have your foot on the brake and the engine's idling fast, then there's a lot of danger there. That's why cars are designed, and when that law came into effect, and all cars are designed so that you must put your foot on the brake before the car will go out of park, because that way you don't have to be prepared, because you already are prepared to hold the car in place at a fast idle, and cars do idle fast when they're cold, the computer. So what I would certainly do with your automobile is I would check the throttle body. And do you know, Fred, if anyone has looked at the throttle body yet?
No, they haven't.
Well, as I said, if your car has an idle speed controller separate from the throttle body, then the problem is going to be either in the throttle body or the idle air controller, because false air or a vacuum leak, or it could be a PCV hose as well. But if you had false air from a PCV hose, which is in a different location than the upstream throttle body, the check engine light would come on, because those controls. In fact, the check engine light, I'm surprised the check engine light didn't come on. Did you tell me a shop has checked it and scanned it with a professional tool?
No, my son has one of those scanners, and he came by and checked it for me, and he left it with me. So I've been using it from time to time.
Okay.
But one of the things I noticed this morning when I turned the engine off is there's a strong emission smell coming from the car as well.
Well, then that tells me that you do have an air-fuel ratio problem. I would imagine, Fred, that the scanner that your son left with you is an inexpensive do-it-yourself scanner, because the scanners that we use are $5,000, and then some that we use to reprogram are $8,000. In fact, there's an $8,000 unit that we need to reprogram Dodge vehicles. And we might reprogram 30 Dodge vehicles a year, and I can tell you it's not worth $8,000 to spend on one line of one car for that we work on all makes. So that's a real issue. And so I'm going to say to you to take your car into a service shop, use a professional scan tool. There are codes in that system. Too many symptoms that you explained and shared with me to know that there's not a code. And a non-professional code reader is just that. It will only choose and find what is really powerfully wrong, like an evap system or overheating system or something obvious. So that's what I suggest, is to seek a local professional shop, have them at least check for codes. Feel free to call me back. And folks, there's a break. I'm going to come back and take DJ's call and yours at 888 Car Clinic. Let's dive into another Car Clinic email. Dear Bobby, my vehicle has just gone out of warranty. It has 48,000 miles, and now all maintenance is my responsibility. Can you suggest a maintenance checklist? I'd like to keep this vehicle long term. Assuming your vehicle is about 4 years old and has just under 50,000 miles on the odometer, we suggest starting with the fluids. Think brake fluid, transmission fluid, and of course coolant. The cooling system is often overlooked. While coolant and cooling systems have evolved through the years, they still need service. Have the cooling system flushed and refilled with a proper antifreeze coolant for your specific vehicle, and inspect all belts and hoses. And don't forget the thermostat and radiator cap. Complete the system service with a new Stant Superstat and a new Stant radiator pressure cap. This is a great way to extend the life of all cooling system components and add reliability to your vehicle. Stant products meet or exceed OE quality in both fit and function. Learn more at stant.com. That's stant.com. In our latest Talking Tires segment, General Tire's Senior Communications Specialist John Robinson explains why it's important to look at a tire's age when considering replacement, not just miles driven on the tires.
You have to be careful because sometimes you think, well, I haven't driven those tires too many miles, but if a car sits, you've got flat spotting, you also have dry rot or cracking to the sidewalls of the tire. Just because there aren't a whole lot of miles on the tire doesn't mean that the age, the heat, and the sun haven't negatively affected the tire. So you want to examine the tire, kind of figure out how old the tires actually are, and go from there.
Introducing the Grabber HD, a heavy-duty, all-season tire for commercial light trucks and vans that delivers long, even tread life, durability, confident traction, and handling. The Grabber HD features sidewall curb guards to help protect the tire from potential sidewall abrasions, and a rigid outer shoulder provides stability and handling under loaded conditions. For more, go to GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Jan will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air and answer your car questions. Stay tuned. I'm going to share a little information about the Car Care Council with you, which is the industry standard setter, a little later in the program. But right now, we'll go to Kansas and take a DJ's call, and also we'll open up another bank of phones if it's been busy, folks. A busy morning here, as always, from 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday. Yours truly, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, comes to you on your local AM and or FM station, and also at WatchBobbyLive.com. And afterwards, this program is downloaded, and if you subscribe to it, your podcast, and Fabio uploads the program every Saturday about, I guess, an hour or so after the program. We're there online. So if you missed a call, or if you weren't quite sure what I said, or you were a little confused, you can always go back and listen to that segment of the program again, or all of the program if you happen to be out of town. 888-227-2546. DJ, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How's the weather in Kansas?
Oh, it's pretty nice. We've got weather that's been in the 80s and calm winds, and it's pretty.
Well, that's a good thing. Pretty is good. What can I do for you, sir?
Well, I've been fighting scratching my head over this is a 78 Bronco, and it seems like when I run the air conditioner, hot day, maybe stop at a stop sign, and all of a sudden you'll start missing out and it'll die. If you wait maybe 15, 20 minutes, even raise the hood, let things cool off, it'll start right up and run again. But several times I've been afraid to turn the air conditioner back on, but any other time it runs fine.
Well, of course,
cool weather.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It definitely is temperature related, as you're saying, because whatever cool air you put on the inside is equally matched by the hot air on the outside. So the air conditioner condenser, which is just another radiator, just like the evaporator core is another little mini radiator. The air conditioner condenser, as you know, DJ, is mounted in front of the radiator, so that preheats the air that is flowing into the radiator to cool the radiator. So number one, it puts an extra load on the engine and the heat exchange. Number two, it also causes the under the hood temperature to elevate. And thinking of a 78 model automobile, I'll tell you that the easiest and what I believe to be the problem with your vehicle, I believe it is the crank sensor. And in that case, it could have a crank sensor, or it could have a stator, what Ford called a stator. General Motors called it a pole piece. But that's a name or a vernacular of the two OEMs. But that unit replaced the points and condenser that normally were within a distributor. So your car has a distributor, but inside does not have points. It has a stator and a reluctor. So that comes and should be replaced and these are inexpensive parts. You can replace the stator and the reluctor, and that triggers the electronic control module, which will be mounted on the fender well, and that you probably replaced that unit before. Have you ever replaced a module on the fender well?
Well, yes. Last year when I started with this problem, I had a extra module, and when it happened, I switched it, and that didn't make any difference.
Right.
So I left that alone. Next thing I did, I just replaced the whole distributor. They had a brand new distributor in it, and that didn't fix it. And then we went to, I changed the coil even, and I thought that was the problem. But after the coil change, got to thinking it probably got into cooler weather and didn't notice it, and it doesn't ever bother any other time. So now I'm scratching my head what to do next.
I'm with you. Here's what and Ford's wiring harnesses in that era had larger pins than they use today. I mean, a lot larger. In other words, the male and female plugs for the module, you know where it plugs in together over there on the firewall, on the fender well. The female part of the electrical plugs, the plug was about the size of a pencil lead. Yeah, maybe an eighth of an inch or 100,000ths, let's say. And then the female was a piece of copper that was it wasn't a 360-degree piece. It was a 358-degree piece, so it wasn't a complete cylinder because it had to have some spring load. And then Ford put some wire around it, and each one of these little male-female sockets, the male has waves on it, so that when it plugs in, it pops into. And it's really kind of simple the way it works. The problem is when it gets old, and your car's old, the female part of that wiring harness starts to loosen. And then when it does, the heat increases the temperature, which means it relaxes even more. So here's what I would do with your vehicle. Number one, I would replace the module anyway, because when you put the distributor in, you should have replaced the matching module, because that's two electronic units, and they both work in unison to run the engine. So whether you've got a unit around the house or a spare unit really proves nothing, and those modules are not expensive. So to me, it would be more frustrating to not be able to run the air conditioner on a hot day in Kansas than it would to run the expense of putting a new module on it. And there are also some very inexpensive modules or cheap modules, and I don't recommend that you buy those. So I would replace a module, and it will have a new plug on it. But I would make sure that before you plug it in, you use what I use, a white lube. Or as I mentioned earlier in my email to Stephen in Mississippi, I would use, we like to use what's called Seal Glide. And Seal Glide is what we use on every brake job to lubricate the ways and the sliders for the caliper. But it is great lubricant that I use for any time that I need to lubricate an electrical connector, because it keeps moisture out, and it's heavy duty, and it stays where you put it. It's not a runny type of lubricant. And white lube will do the same thing. But we just have the Seal Glide because we use more of that. So you can use either one of those materials. You could use plain axle grease if that's all you've got in the farm, because anything is better than nothing. And then what I do is I'll take just a touch or two and smear it into the port of the plug, the female ports, and then I'll plug the plug in, and if there's any excess, it'll squeeze out, and I'll plug the plug in and unplug it and plug it in again. That way you've got a 360-degree coating around each male-female socket, and that is the first step for you to do. Replace the module, treat the plug, and also go back to the distributor where you plugged it in and do the same thing with the electric grease. And they make electronic greases. What I don't like about some of the dielectric grease is this, for those technical guys out there that are saying, well, why didn't he talk about a dielectric compound?
I do have dielectric grease.
I don't like dielectric. I don't like it. It turns to white powder inside the distributor. It's made to do that, but it doesn't stay soft and gooey, and it's not necessarily waterproof. And that's been my experience with dielectric as compared to this heavy duty thicker grease that I use, like Seal Glide. So that's what I'd recommend.
Well, let me ask you one thing that popped in my head.
Sure.
This is a possibility. Would the possibility of the more alcohol in the fuel compared to this generation of motor, which was not running on ethanol blend, whether that extra heat could cause a vapor lock?
Actually, ethanol runs cooler, so that statement's backwards. See, ethanol.
It had a lower boiling point, and so it might heat up quicker. But
that's the whole point. It has a lower boiling point, so it evaporates much quicker, so it runs cooler.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just the opposite. Yeah. You think, and I think some of that information comes because there are people that talk about lawnmower engines and what have you that run hotter with ethanol. Well, ethanol has oxygen. It's an oxygen-bearing compound. For every molecule of ethanol, there's 35% oxygen. So when you take an air-fuel ratio of a carbureted engine, like a lawnmower, that's fixed jetting, which means that it's tuned for straight gasoline, and you put a 10% ethanol in it, you are actually leaning out the combustion, because you adjusted the air-fuel ratio because you put air in the fuel in liquid form. Therefore, the exhaust can run hotter. And so it is true that it runs hotter, but in the cylinder, it doesn't. In the cylinder, in fact, today's direct injection engines can run higher compression ratios with a higher octane and with a cooling effect of direct injected gasoline, and even more so with direct injected ethanol blends of gasoline. Those are the facts. Okay, my friend. Good luck. Let me hear what you found on the other side. So you treat the connectors, replace the module, and treat the connector on the distributor. And you can treat the connectors first without buying a module. But I never trusted an old module on a Ford product in my life, and I've fixed a lot of those. Hey, my friend, thank you for calling, DJ.
Thanks a lot, Bobby.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's an era. In 72 is when emission measuring and Clean Air Acts and those sorts of things had a lot to do with the manufacturers. So, in fact, in 72, Ford changed their 390 engine, which is their engine they had forever, to a 410. They stroked it. A 390 is nothing more than a 410 is nothing more than a 390 with a stroker in it. And they did this so that they could slow the speed of the piston down at top dead center, because longer stroke slows the speed of the piston down at top dead center, which affected the emissions. And that was the engineering way. That was the best thing they could do, given given sloppy valve guides and and poor fuel distribution from carburation and all those other things in 72s. And then in 75, they started, modifying carburetors. And then in 80 and a half, they started using electronic controls inside carburetors. You could hear the carburetor going ticky, 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 ticky because there was a motor in there that would adjust the air-fuel ratio on the fly. But it was reactive, which means that after the fact, after the exhaust came out of the tailpipe, the computer would measure the exhaust, and then it would go back to the engine and change the air-fuel ratio. Well, by the time it changed it, it would go too lean. And it's like, wait, you're too lean. And it would go rich. And it would go rich, lean. And indeed, that's what O2 sensors do to this day. But all that has been modified and re-engineered to be almost instantaneous. I'll take your calls at 888 Car Clinic when I come back. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. The next time your car needs a new battery, choose one with Power Frame Grid technology inside. It's engineered with confidence to be 66% more durable than other grid designs and provide you with true strength every time you need it. Look for Power Frame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advanced Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with Power Frame Grid technology, or learn more at powerframe.com. That's powerframe.com.
It's Mosquito Awareness Week, and Dynatrap has 3 simple steps to help you stay safe from mosquitoes this summer. 1. Remove standing water in planters and other places water can collect. 2. Wear light-colored long-sleeve clothing and apply repellents when outdoors. 3. Inspect and patch holes in screen doors and windows. Head to Dynatrap.com/Mosquito Week for more tips and tricks on keeping mosquitoes at bay all summer long.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this edition and segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Jan will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Put you in a queue, and I will put you on the air. As we've just heard from the last caller, some of you who own cars can do the work yourself. The challenge is knowing what you can do and should do versus knowing what you should seek professional help having done and pay for having done. Now, I'm not talking about replacement of transmissions or differentials. I'm speaking of maintenance items that certainly you might be able to do with the right guide. Well, how do you find those guides? I mean, and we're in the industry. I've hosted Bobby Likis Car Clinic for 26 years, and our studio's inside our 15,000 square foot Car Clinic automotive service shop. 46 years we've been in the business, and going on 47. Where do we get our information? We get it from subscriptions, we get it from OEMs, and also there's an organization, a nonprofit organization, that I want to share with you, because you can find the information that you can use to keep your car on the road instead of on the side. It's carcare.org. And whether you're driving across the country or just across town, the Car Care organization, the nonprofit Car Care Council, will provide tools and tips about regular vehicle care and maintenance and repair that helps you prepare for every turn ahead. Now, the Car Care Council's website at carcare.org, write that down, carcare.org, contains a wealth of auto care resources to help you take a proactive role in maintaining your vehicle so you can address the needed performance and repairs before you hit the road. And I want to quote Rich White, who is executive director of the Car Care Council. He says, by using this information that way, you can enjoy the drive without worrying about the surprise of car trouble and unexpected vehicle repairs. Therein lies the biggest issue and challenge, I think, other than having a car challenge, is when you go to a service shop, that communication. The more you know about your vehicle, the easier it is for you to, number one, take care of the car so it saves money, it stays in your garage and out of mine or out of your local service shop across the nation. Also, the Car Care Council has a blog section on their homepage, and it's updated frequently with the latest tips and advice about vehicle care, so it'll help you prepare your vehicle for the different seasons, like, pre-trip vehicle inspections and more. Also, the site features a customizable service schedule and email maintenance reminders, a comprehensive repair shop locator, and a vehicle systems overview. I'm telling you, folks, this is an opportunity for you to find information that will help you better communicate with your local service provider, but more importantly, to help you know when you need to communicate and how to communicate with the service provider versus taking care of your own car. And the council's popular car care guide is for you, and it's available at no charge. So you can order a free copy of the Car Care Guide just by visiting the Council's Consumer Education website. And again, as I said to start, carcare.org, not com, carcare.org. The Car Care Council. That is the go-to place for, well, next to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, that is, of course. 888, that take your calls. Again, write that down, carcare.org. Bobby Likis Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Gas prices. Well, I knew this would happen. Of course, with Harvey being on the scene, we're talking about gas prices that have risen in every region of the country across the nation. And how many regions are there? Well, there are 10 different regions. You have the East Coast, New England, Central Atlantic, Lower Atlantic, Midwest, Gulf Coast, Rocky Mountain, West Coast, and then West Coast, less California. So the U.S. national average for gasoline, this is as of Tuesday of this week, that's when the government puts this particular site that I use, and that's another website that's fantastic, fueleconomy.gov. Fueleconomy.gov. They even have a program at fueleconomy.gov that allows you to look at the car that you drive or the used car that you're thinking about buying to determine the gas mileage that was advertised for that car when it was new. I think it goes back to late 80s. I know it does. 87, I think, and up. But if you're going to buy a 1990 car and up and you're looking at the, two different cars, you're trying to make the decision based on all the factors, the price, the mileage, the condition of the car, and you're torn between these two cars, and you need one little piece of evidence or piece of information to help you get over the hump. and make that decision, a wise decision. We're talking about making the right decision here, at least as best as you possibly can do with a used car. Then you could go to fueleconomy.gov and check out the gas mileage for these two different makes of vehicles. And hey, if one gets 4 more miles per gallon advertised than the other one, you'll know that based on that decision, if that's the factor, the last factor, that's good for you. So here's the price of gasoline. $2.39.9 or $2.40 average price per gallon of gas, which is higher than it was this time last year and higher than it was this time last week in every region of the United States. And I have this chart that comes directly from these sites, and it's interesting to me to watch the gas prices go up and down and up and down, and sometimes I all the time, almost, well, anyway, I'll say 90% of the time, I really can't figure out the price of gas. But of course, with Harvey and with some of those Texas refineries being closed down, then no doubt it's a supply and demand. So there you go. There you have it. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. I'd like to shift gears here. I didn't say jump ship, but I'd like to go from repairs into the newer, later technology, which is where I like a smart car. You know the car, that little half car. I mean, everyone that sees our smart car says, "Oh, does that run and have a battery? You know, or is it safe?" That's the number one question, right, Miss Jan? You know, oh, is that car safe? The car has a Tritium roll cage like NASCAR, and a 5-star crash rating. And I will tell you, the car is safe. In fact, SMART, smart car. Well, where do you get that name? I can tell you. You remember the Swatch watch? Well, Mr. Swatch, whatever his name was, went to Mercedes and said, "I'd like for you to make me a car where you can take the different panels off and change the color of the car." Like his Swatch watch. You take off the bezel and the different areas, and you could change it, just to have like a different watch every day. Well, Mercedes said, "Okay, we'll do that." So the S was for Swatch, the M was for Mercedes, and the ART is for art. So that's where the name Smart came from. So fast forward to today, and what Smart is doing at the Frankfurt Auto Show in Germany is they're going to preview a new smart car that is a full self-driving electric car that's ideal for the shared urban mobility. Now, there's already a lot of ideas in one concept, but this Smart will also present connectivity technology. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that, for example, you can use your phone to summon the car. So it's a smart car. Well, and I don't mean that it's a smart car. That's the brand name. But it is really an intelligent car, not only a smart car. And it's a battery, of course, fully battery. But it will have, and get this, a display across the front of the vehicle where a grille would normally be, that fascia there, the fascia, a display that it will provide information to the outside world. And this is the concept that Mercedes already had demonstrated with its fully self-driving F015, the F015 concept that they unveiled back in 2015. Users would only need to pay for the ride when the vehicle can be perhaps owned by a private user and then ride-sharing firm, or perhaps even by Smart. So my question to that, I don't know what you think about this. I'd love to hear what your thoughts about this. 888 Car Clinic. And here's my question to you. Is the problem with self-driving cars one of the problems about liability? And the answer to that question would have to be yes. So my question to you would be, if a smart car is owned by Smart and rented out, just like the Maven program. We had an executive from GM on the phone with us a couple of 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and we were talking about the Maven, which is if you have a gig, you can rent through Maven, you can rent a Chevrolet Bolt, and so gas mileage is not an issue. Insurance comes with it. You can rent it for 7 days or 7 months, which is really kind of unique, and you can use it in your gig. So if you've got an opportunity for a gig, but you don't have a car, or at least you don't have a decent car, and you don't have enough money to make that car decent or roadworthy. That's the main thing. I mean, there's nothing like having a brand new car for roadworthy because it's not been repaired. It's all new parts. I mean, it only goes down from there. Trust me. When you drive the new off of a car, you must replace some of the parts with new parts, or else the car will fail. Well, that's a pretty simple statement. Well, but you never think about it until the car fails. You just, well, I don't know, it's running great. I only got 58,000, I only got 40,000, and it was running great. I only have 75,000, it was running great. All of a sudden, no, it wasn't all of a sudden. Like tires don't wear out, brakes don't wear out all of a sudden. Alignments don't go out of alignment all of a sudden unless you hit a huge pothole, and that's another story. And that's where, oh, by the way, our gas taxes, have to do with repairs of bridges and roadways and those sorts of things. And that gas tax, which was, I think it currently is like 18.4 cents a gallon, and that's in old dollars. And that's not enough revenue for the transportation department to build bridges, to repair bridges, and to repair roads. In fact, there's a stat, if I can remember this correctly, that for every $1 we spend on roads, we save, as a consumer, $6 in automotive repair. Because, as I just mentioned, an alignment, your car doesn't go out of alignment all of a sudden. Now, it will go out of alignment ultimately, as all cars do, because the parts, the grommets and the bushings and the ball sockets that keep the car and the moving parts in alignment also wear. So when it wears, just like a typical rotator cuff, you wear, that joint starts to move around. And when it does, if you're not careful, you lose a shoulder, you lose a socket. Same thing is true for a ball joint or a tie rod end on the car, or a lower A-frame bushing or a strut. All of that wonderfully new parts and pieces of a car that makes it so quiet and drives so great for the first 50,000 or 100,000 miles wears. When it does, other parts that depend on those parts wear. A brake caliper, you put brake pads on. Well, that's not a brake job. You have to machine the rotors when you replace the brake pads. Oh, but wait, these rotors look good. Well, you have to measure them and also know that the rotor is not flat, so the surface is not flat. But the new pad is flat surface. So I share this information as an overview to try to help you better understand that whether or not you know it, the car that you drive, if it's 3 years old. Now, when I say 2 or 3 years old, I'm not talking about mileage here. Because, see, some of you drive 3,000 to 5,000 miles a year, so you may only have 15,000 miles. So you get a car that's 3 years old with only 15,000 miles. Wow, what a buy that is. That's right. But the rubbers on that car, the window weather stripping on that car, the interior on that car that is sensitive to UV, it's 3 years old. So it's just, unless it's garage kept, and of course, hermetically sealed. Now, of course, that's the way you should. One of these days, wouldn't it be great if the classic car restoration industry were to find a hermetically sealed car? They did bury a car, a Dodge, some years ago, and I'm not sure of the town, so maybe you can help me remember. They buried a car in a container so that they could break it out. Fabio, have you ever heard of that? Yeah, they buried it. It was a Dodge, a Chrysler product. They buried that car, and then 20 years or 30 years later, they dug it up. This was a city, and I'm trying to think of Indiana or somewhere. We'll have to do research on that. Jonathan, that'd be a good, just find the car that was buried, and then on the next hour, I will share with you where that was, because where was it? Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, let's get some more information, but what you'll have to do to hear about it is to stick with me for another hour, because we've got another great hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up, and we'll take your calls, 888-227-2546. I think it's really cool what's going on in the industry. Also remember the carcare.org site for information that you need to know more about the nature of the vehicle that you drive so that you can save money and keep your car in your garage and out of a repair garage. Now, that sounds really simple, doesn't it? Well, can be. And I will tell you, without a doubt, every day, there's not a day that goes by that I don't use my clients and my customers' problems to make sure that I don't have that issue with my car. More when I come back next hour. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, recently we had a four-cylinder 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem? The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Behrman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Behrman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Behrman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BehrmanProducts.com. That's BehrmanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the classified section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the classified section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And happy Labor Day weekend. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house. 888 Car Clinic is a number, obviously, some of you already know because the phones are already lighting up. It is best that if you have a question or a comment or just want to say hello, that you get in early, because toward the end of each hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, it gets really, really busy. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Super Chips and the new Flashpack F5 Performance Tuners. You can add horsepower in minutes without even turning a wrench. It is way cool. Drive over to superchips.com for all the details and for more information. Also, I am proud to say that this morning's broadcast is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you'll get better parts, better prices every day. We do that in our service shop right here on Davis Highway. We have an O'Reilly Auto Parts store just a stone's throw up the street. O'Reilly Auto Parts, they have the parts that you need to get the job done right. Stores are stocked with high-quality parts and accessories at guaranteed low prices. And I can tell you, folks, their well-trained professionals are standing by, ready to help. So if you need a part locally in your hometown, you check out O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Your call's coming up, 888-227-2546 when I come back. This vehicle maintenance spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Summer's coming to an end, but that doesn't mean you can't still take road trips. And before you hit the road, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Preventive maintenance will help make any journey a safer one. Simple things like checking oil and filter, belts and hoses, wipers, even your battery connection. Whether it's a week-long family vacation or a weekend getaway, O'Reilly Auto Parts has the parts you need at guaranteed low prices. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Super Chips performance tuners are a great way to increase vehicle power without even turning a wrench. But don't take my word for it. Four Corners 4x4 owner Jason Kaminsky runs Super Chips flashpack programmers in a number of different vehicles. According to Jason, there are a lot of choices in aftermarket tuning, but we've never had a reason to look outside the Super Chips family. And now, through October 15th, enter the Power Up and Win promotion. You could win wheel tire packages, cold air intakes, and other great prizes. Learn more at superchips.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I hope that if you're on the road today and you're listening to this broadcast wherever you are, you'll take a minute to make sure that your seatbelt is on. Make sure that you can see out of the back window of your vehicle. To that end, I'll share with you a little later about Nissan's intelligent rear view mirror that they're going to bring out in their 2018 Armada, which is that huge SUV, as you know. It's kind of a neat concept that they had several years ago, and now as concepts we hopefully think and hope that they will ultimately do if it's a good idea. This intelligent mirror is going to be kind of cool and will allow you as the driver to see, even if you have passengers or even balloons. They put balloons in one car as a demo when they showed this concept recently, so that you sit in the car and you can flip the mirror. But I'll tell you a little more about that later. And also, I'll share with you the story that I spoke to briefly at the close of last hour's Bobby Likis Car Connect broadcast, and about the vehicle that was buried, and then they dug this vehicle up. We're talking about classic cars, and it all started when I shared with you about the Car Care Council and where you could go to get information about maintenance and car tips and those sorts of things, and find local shops as well. It's a nonprofit organization called the Car Care Council, and their website is carcare.org. And you can have their free pamphlets there and information that you just really, I'd love for you to stay tuned to Bobby Likis Car Connect, tune in every week. I'd love for you to go to the site just to see what is on the site so you can learn more about the car that you drive. Why? Because the repairs cost a lot of money, and to drive a safe car is a benefit to you and for all of those that share it on the highway. And today's one of those days with the weekend. Here we are at the weekend of the Labor Day. Let's go to George and take a call from George, and then I'll take your calls. Miss Jan will at 888-227-2546, and she'll put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. It's 888-227-2546. George, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Connect. Thanks for holding.
Bobby, I want to thank you so much for helping us car people every week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your kind words. I'll tell you, I learn every week more and more and more about the cars, the new car, new technology. But I also find it, and it's challenging, to say the least. You have a new car with all the new technology, with all the computer controls in the car. And then you have a physical problem with the car, like a radiator leaks, or intake manifold leaks, or a vacuum hose leaks, or a piece of engine plastic gets old and corrodes. And we've got a car in the shop right now that I just walked over and checked that we put back together yesterday, but it didn't pass our QC. The leak is gone for all intents and purposes, but we still smell coolant when we drove the car. I personally put 20 miles on this car yesterday, and each time I came back and opened the car door, I got that whiff of coolant, evaporative coolant, and it's got that sweet smell. And yet there's not a drop anywhere that we can find. And we got out the old borescope and looked under the intake manifold and looked at the pieces, and what I think it is, I think one of the O-rings where we put this car together is leaking. We maybe tore the O-ring because it's a very strangely engineered, there's a plastic Y pipe that plugs into the engine in 4 places, and then snakes its little way and makes its little way around to the front of the engine from under the intake manifold that connects to the heater, the radiator hoses, the transfer hoses, and that's a common problem. So I'm curious to see when we take it back apart on our time. I'm curious to see what either we did wrong or if the new piece of plastic was flawed. But anyway, that's just part of the business. And what is important is that we didn't deliver this car Friday because it didn't pass our QC. And I can say that you can have upset people and upset customers that need their car, but to give it to them unfixed and know it is unacceptable in the business. And after 46 years in the business, I'd rather somebody be mad at me than broken down on the side of the highway, or possibly lose an engine because we didn't do the job right, or we had a problem with a part, or it could be something else too. It could be another part of the car because we fixed the gusher of a leak, and that's fixed. But now we've got just something. But anyway, that's just part of the business. Let's talk about your questions, George. Thank you for calling.
Listen, I took my car in and had the tires rotated. And when I took it out, on the way home, I could hear a thump, a thump, a thump. Just in low speed. And then I called them the next day, and I said, well, I've got this thump, and I want to know if they balanced the tires when they rotated them, because I paid for a lifetime of balancing. And they said, no, only when you requested that we we balance our tires.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder what could be wrong.
Well, a thump. It makes me think, because you're going thump, that you're going at slow speeds and hear this noise like 10, 15 miles per hour, not at 50 or 60. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, it's not a balance issue. So let's park the balance aside, because that is not what's wrong here. If you have a thump that was there after the tires were rotated, then we could have a tire that has a bad spot, and you didn't feel it before because it might have been on the rear of the car, and now it's moved to the front of the car, and you have more sensitivity and more feel because your hands are connected to the wheel. You got it? So that's what I assume and what I presume, and so what I would do is I would go back to the shop that rotated the tires and have someone from that shop ride with me. That's exactly, if I'd rotated your tires, I would want you to come back to me and say, hey, since you guys rotated my tires, there's a thump. Or at least I didn't notice it before, now I'm noticing it. So because you could have a bad tire, and you need to know that. You see where I'm going?
I got you.
And tires will take a flat spot. My tires do. I really don't like that, but there's nothing I can do about it except change to another brand of tire. And these tires came from the car from the factory, the brand, and they were very quiet. And that's what I love about this car. It's very quiet. So I'm torn as to what tire I would put on it. I recommend the General tire because of all of the technical advances that General Tire offers for all cars. It just so happens that this particular brand of vehicle, General Tire, doesn't list a tire. And so I have to do some investigative work, and I think I'll reach out to General Tire directly and say, hey, what's up here? I need a tire for my particular car. But getting back to George, to your question, you could have a flat spot on the tire. Again, because they were rotated, you could have a lug that was left loose, but it wouldn't go thump unless the wheel was really loose, and then it would be, how about 35 miles an hour? Do you feel it at higher speeds?
No, I don't feel it at higher speed.
Yeah.
It just seems to go away at higher speed.
Yeah. Okay. So that reminds me of a cylinder with a low compression. You're going 2,000 RPM or 1,500. It runs smooth because you're not idling. And then let the throttle off, and it comes down to an idle. And that one cylinder, every time it comes around, it's time to turn the engine over, it's weaker, so it actually drops its little power, and that causes a rough idle. So a rough idle can be a lot of things, but I'm specifically talking about low pressure in that cylinder. So whenever it comes time for that cylinder to do its job, it's not. So the rest of the cylinders do a great job, and that one doesn't. So it gives you that loom, 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 like your tire, and you could have a spot on the tire. But anyway, I'm glad that you called me, and so do take it back to the shop, and don't give them the keys, George, and say, go drive my car. Take the person at the desk or the technician for a ride so that person feels and hears exactly what you're talking about. And that way, they don't go out and drive 35 miles an hour or 40 and come back and say, it feels good to me. You understand what I'm saying? My reasoning for that? Okay.
I got you very well. You're right.
All right, my friend. Thanks for your call. And, folks, your call is coming up at 888-227-2546. When I come back, let me hear from you on this great Labor Day weekend.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts. And your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with PowerFrame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with PowerFrame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with PowerFrame technology inside. Look for PowerFrame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
Time to go to our car clinic inbox. Jim in Indianapolis writes, Bobby, I have a 2010 Ford Explorer, and it's taking more than 10 minutes for the engine to warm up, whereas it used to take 6. I hear you guys talking about Stant thermostats. What makes them so special? Thanks, Jim. You probably heard me talking about the Superstat in particular. Superstat is a premium-grade thermostat that performs better and lasts longer. The Superstat features heavy-duty springs that help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. A larger heat motor helps control engine temperature, while a heavier gauge steel housing gives it a high-end feel. Just hold one yourself and you'll feel the difference. The Superstat is American-made and comes with a limited lifetime warranty. You definitely don't want to compromise when replacing your Explorer's engine thermostat. The Superstat helps maintain proper air-to-fuel ratio, which maximizes fuel economy, keeps tailpipe emissions in check, and provides optimal performance. Learn more about the Superstat at your local auto parts store or at stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad you tuned in. Every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you, and also at Watch Bobby Live. We're live as we sit. I think I'll take a little road trip today and right to lunch and after the show and enjoy. There's a place that's about 17 miles from here that has the best crab bisque soup in the world, and that is it's called California Dreaming. That's the name of the chain. It's a chain. You ever heard of that, Fabio? Never? Miss Jan, have you ever heard of it? Yeah. I've been there several times, and so I think after the show we'll do that today. And I share that with you because I'm really curious to see how the traffic will be on the roads today. I don't really expect there'll be a lot of traffic today. I could be totally wrong. As compared to yesterday, and as compared to, it's going to be afternoon when I'm on the road. So I think a lot of people that if they're going to go on road trips would have left earlier this morning or last night and to get the first leg. Depends on how far you're going to go. For me, I'm going 20 miles, so it's not a road trip really, unless I have a problem. Then it becomes a serious road trip, and I don't want to have a problem. To that end, I am always cognizant of my car because that is the type of individual that I am, having been in the automotive service and repair for some 46 plus years, and that qualifies me to share with you stories and to answer your questions to the best of my ability here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So if you've got a question about a car, are you not sure whether you should keep the car that you own, or maybe you spend several $1,000s on a car to put a new transmission or a new engine in that vehicle, or maybe an EV car that needs a new battery, and what's it going to cost, $3,000 or $4,000 for battery for your Prius? Should you keep that car or maybe you've got a couple 100,000 miles on it. Those are the kind of scenarios that I can share with you and help you make some intelligent decisions based on my experience. So really the program's all about you and your vehicle and to help you communicate with your service shop. Yet many people think Car Clinic is about fixing cars. Well, and there are times that I show my dark side and say, don't call me with your car questions about the car. I can't fix your car over the air. I've actually done that. I know the whole crew is looking at me like, well, you shouldn't do that. But to call someone and say my car's going tick tick tick, what's wrong with it? Well, I don't know. But I want you to know that that's really what I'm here for. There are no dumb questions. I want you to know that I've always felt and lived by that mantra. The only dumb car question is the one that's not asked. Just like going to a doctor. When you leave the doctor's session, you listen to all that talk and you really don't know what the next question should have been till you get in your car or you get home and you discuss with your family and they ask you a simple question and you say, well, I didn't ask that question. Well, it's a simple question. What did the doctor say was wrong with you, or what caused it, or how long are you going to be before you get better? Those are the kind of questions that you always wonder, So you write those questions down. I do ahead of time. I've learned to do that, especially because we all have the phones, and it's easy to do that, to make notes. So that's probably a good idea. Not probably, it is a good idea for you to do that with regard to having your car serviced. So when you go in, you don't walk in and hand someone the keys to your car and say, it's making a noise or it's leaking something out there. Here are the keys, fix it, call me when it's done. Well, that's what we call in the industry, tossing us the keys, because if you toss us the keys, you must also toss us your wallet. Oh, well, wait a minute. I'm not going to give you my wallet. Well, why not? If you say it's all up to us to fix your car, and you leave that decision to all up to us, well, wait a minute now. Maybe we should talk about this. There's the point. You should always have in-depth conversations with what your challenge is with your car, not what's wrong with it, what it's doing that you don't like. Now, I'm not talking about a water pump that's pouring water. I mean, that's not rocket science, although it could be halfway to the moon to get it in and out with some cars, like Audi and VW and some of those cars where you have to put the car in a shop mode. You have to move the front of the car forward or take the front of the car off, or like a Porsche Panamera that needs an air filter, and you have to take the front of the car off, the whole clip off. What? Right. Now, it's a great place to have an air filter so that it gets clean air from a shielded area, but it's labor intensive just to replace an air filter. Batteries, another thing. And this is a challenge that we have. We have a Lincoln in the shop right now that has a battery that goes dead over and over and over again, and it has like a 300 millivolt draw on it, and we don't want it to have over 200 millivolts. The challenge is that the battery will run down, and there's something in this device that in the car that won't shut off, and it's supposed to time out, but it's not doing that. And for my car, my classic car, the Porsche that I talk about, I use a battery tender, which is a unit. Actually, the battery tender has just come out with a new unit. It's called Power Plus 75 amp booster battery charger with Wi-Fi. And this is really, it's a charger for every situation. There are all sorts of features that I love: an internal connection to the internet, the latest technology, output. Now we're talking about a device that you can leave on your battery 24/7, 365. This unit has a charging of 1.25 amps. I mean, you may as well not be charging, because a car doesn't need a battery, doesn't need to be charged when it's fully charged. So if you put a regular charger on a battery, you will ultimately damage it. That's what's so great about the Power Plus Booster battery from Battery Tender. You know, take a trip over to and check it out at batterytender.com. The unit that they make is spark proof. It's short circuit protected. If you hook it up backwards, it's protected. It warns you, and it has a safety timer. It's for all size batteries, including the AGM, the flooded, and the lithium, which is the LIFEP04. That's a special battery, lithium battery, and it's guaranteed 5 years warranty. It's a great product, and it's one that I just may offer as a choice for this customer who owns this Lincoln, who doesn't drive it often and has a minuscule draw on it, and about every 2, 3, 4 months the car won't start with her, and it comes into our shop, and after we charge the battery, we find a draw, but this car has such a small draw that it would be much less expensive for her over the long haul, and it may well be for you on your car that you don't drive often, just to go to a battery charger that does the work for you but doesn't overcharge. You got it? It's a smart charger. BatteryTender.com. We'll take a call now from Washington, from Victor. Victor, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and happy Labor Day to you, sir.
Yeah, same to you, Bobby. I was just wondering, these high-pressure fuel systems they got now, the different makes of cars, have they all kind of copied each other, or do they use a gear pump or a piston pump, and how long do those high-pressure systems last, and is one better than the other in all your experience with them there?
That's a good question. When I think of that, I think of, you say better. You remember Ford's EcoBoost, which was my special engine that I always loved. And then they went to direct injection for the EcoBoost, and they had, it has a roller fuel pump that bolts to the cam cover and is driven off of one of the cams. There are 4 cams in that engine, and the one cam that drives the high pressure fuel pump, 2,000 PSI or better, is a solid cam. It's a billet versus the other that are cast cams. And so that costs more, but it's less prone to wear. Now, backpedal and look at Audi. Audi makes, you know the difference between a roller lifter and a flat tappet?
Well, to some degree. I've used them a little bit on spraying, farm spraying and some roller pumps.
Okay. Then let me explain. A roller tappet or a roller lifter has a roller with bearings inside, and it rolls over the cam. So it's less friction. It's heavier, so for racing, not all applications are benefit from having roller lifters. NASCAR, one in particular, in their restrictor plate series, but I'll get into that a little bit later. And that information comes from Dr. Randolph, Andy Randolph, who is the Director of Engine Technology for Earnhardt Childress Racing. When NASCAR changed the rules and said you must use roller lifters, and the roller lifter was 30 grams heavier than the flat tappet because it's bigger, bulkier, less friction, but because it was heavier and because it moves up and down 75 times a second, he had to, and in his engineering, change the profile of the camshaft to take up for that. For everything that rises, it's got to go back the other way too. And if you're flipping up and down or rolling up and down 75 times a second and you're 30 grams heavier, you have to change some design to make sure that you have the durability to go 9,500 RPM for 500 miles. Now, back to your question, high pressure fuel pumps have rollers. Some of them, like Audi, have a flat tappet, and they will chew, when that flat tappet wears out, it will start to chew the cam up, and it's a major repair. And Audi has had problems with their fuel pumps, direct injection fuel pumps, and turbocharged fuel pumps, because the turbocharger, of course, increases the pressure in the cylinder. But when you've got turbocharged and direct injection, now you've got a lot of pressure that you have to overcome. In fact, Victor, in closing, the roller produces 2,000 PSI. But what if the cam or the roller fuel pump goes bad? The tank pump will pump up to 200 psi. And so we're accustomed to a tank pump having 40, 50 psi operating pressure. But with this direct injection and turbocharged engines where you need 2,000 psi, what if it goes bad? The engine won't run. And what if you're going across a bridge? I mean, that's dangerous. So the in-tank pump will produce 200 psi, and that's enough to open direct injection and to make it spray and get you to limp home mode, which gets you back to a shop. Hey, thanks for your call. Don't go away, folks. I'll be back after this break. We recently had the opportunity to work on a 2005 F-150. The vehicle owner was complaining about brake noise. His pads and shoes were not terribly old, but did have some miles on them. He's in the delivery service business, which puts his vehicle through a lot of stop-and-go traffic. This works the brakes really hard and can often lead to glazing and excessive brake dust. After performing a visual inspection, we cleaned the brakes using Behrman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner. It's the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Behrman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is designed to stop brake squeal. It's the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner available and dries completely without residue. As part of the process, we were sure to clean the pivot and shoe pad contact points along with the brake spring hardware and self-adjuster mechanisms. Brake dust gets everywhere, and a proper cleaning on an annual basis will lead to longer brake life and better brake performance. Learn more about the new Behrman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner at BehrmanProducts.com. That's BehrmanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Earlier we were talking about being proactive, and I mentioned the fact you could go to carcare.org and get information and download booklets and other things that are free to better educate you on tips and maintenance items and those sorts of things. That's, of course, you can tune into Bobby Likis Car Clinic every Saturday from 10 till noon. I mentioned about the classic cars and also when we're talking about a car that wears, and when you get a new car, it does immediately start to wear. And I talked about a classic car and about being hermetically sealed. Well, in June of 1957, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they actually buried a 57 Plymouth Belvedere. It was uncovered 50 years later, and it was quietly rusting beneath the Tulsa County courtyard, the courthouse lawn. And on June the 15th, 2007, it was hoped that this vehicle that was sealed, well, it was supposed to be sealed, folks, would be a pristine version of Miss Belvedere. But as it turned out, the vault leaked and filled with water, causing much damage to the automobile. They actually streamed a video live online as they were extracting that vehicle from the ground, and when it finally was extracted, the rust-colored dirt and muck that was all filled inside. See, not only did water come in, but a little sand would come in, a little more sand, a little in and out, in and out. The whole car was filled. You should check it out online. You could just Google Miss Belvedere buried in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the courthouse lawn. The winner of the car was Raymond Humbertson, who died in 1979, who was a Marine and a Korean War veteran. So for those of you out there, just when you think about classic cars and how to maintain a classic car, you think about how to maintain your car, just know that there's nothing like an occasional inspection to make sure that all things are going the way you hope they go. And that's what oil changes that people get confused about. The quick, fast in, fast out oil change is not there and not intended just for oil. It's intended to inspect your car, because that's the only time that it gets a true inspection, and you cannot do that in 10 minutes. So that's from a shop owner that's been in the business for a long time, and a shop owner who takes at least 30 minutes to change his clients' and customers' oil change on a good day, because that's what it takes to properly inspect the car so that you don't get what? Broken down on the highway. Let's go to Aaron and take his call, and then I'm going to go to Steve as well. But Aaron, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning to you.
How you doing?
Fine. How about yourself?
Yeah, mine. My car is every now and then the throttle's good, but when I just put on the gas, it's like it's sluggish. It sits there and it finally starts to get up, and then it's got a little shift kit in it, and but I mean, I don't romp on it, but I just want to get out and go. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem like it wants to go. And then when you mentioned this morning about the throttle position sensor being either separate from the throttle body or in the throttle body, it kind of got me thinking. So I didn't know if that had anything to do with the transmission, or if it had something to do with my throttle body.
Well, it has everything. It has everything to do with it. And a throttle position sensor is really a simple device, just like a dimmer, a potentiometer. It for all intents and purposes, that's what it is. So just like in your house, you may have a light dimmer for your dining room or so. Well, that's a potentiometer. A radio volume control is a potentiometer, and it changes it has wiring, and it changes the resistance, and it increases voltage, volume, or it reduces voltage, volume. So in your on all vehicles that are electronic controlled, there's a throttle position switch that tells the computer. So see, the computer's dumb. It only reacts. So a computer doesn't tune 8 cylinders or 6 cylinders or 3 cylinders. A computer actually tunes a 1 cylinder at the time. In fact, what is really, Aaron, great about today's computers is that you can take, for instance, a Mercedes, and I think Bosch was the first that really designed this, and I could be wrong, but I think they probably were. You take an 8-cylinder car, and the onboard computer gets input from the throttle position sensor and tells the computer where your foot is. It's called driver demand. So it knows the position of your foot, if you're going up a hill, or if you want to nail the throttle, or if you want to cruise. But it also measures the engine's speed. Another sensor. Yeah, engine speed sensor. Crankshaft position sensor. So it knows the position of the crankshaft, the position of the throttle. It knows the position of each and every piston and the camshaft. So you put all these things together, and you get the ambient temperature, the air mass, which the air flowing through the engine, and the engine's temperature, and the temperature of the air inside the engine. So you put all of that together, and that computer says, okay, for this 1 cylinder to operate the best, I'm going to put a little more fuel, or I'm going to put a little less fuel, and I'm going to bump the timing up or up there's a ping there, that knock sensor, another sensor, I'm going to retard it. So if you think about one cylinder, and then you say, okay, now let's hook a crankshaft to 8 different cylinders, and we got a V8 engine, but it's still one cylinder at a time. So that's a simplification, Aaron, but those are the parameters by which all engines are tuned, and computer-controlled engines do a great job. Does your check engine light come on? Aaron?
I'll get on the gas, and it just goes, whoa.
Yeah, right.
And it finally kind of increases.
I got you. But does your check engine light come on?
No.
Have you had this car into a service shop to check anything, fuel pressure, for example?
No. I bought it from a friend that takes care of cars.
All right. Here's what I recommend. First thing, make sure that the engine temperature is good. You probably should test fuel pressure, and the easiest way, there's an easy way to do that with a pressure gauge if you have the means to do that. I certainly would remove the fuel filter on that engine that is outside of the tank, and I would replace the fuel filter, and I wouldn't throw the old fuel filter away. I would take the non-technical way would be to take a milk jug and cut the bottom off, or a little a cookie pan, and back pour the fuel out of the old filter. And folks, this is something that anytime a filter is changed, the mechanic, the technician that's doing the job should do this. And I'll bet you, if we've got 100,000 or one technician listing, they don't do this. But it should be done every time a filter is changed. And this, Aaron, and for you folks that are in the business, back pour that fuel and see what comes out of the filter. Because what comes out of that filter is what came out of the fuel tank and the fuel pump. If you have metal flakes, you know you have a fuel pump that's wearing out. If you have rust, you have water in the tank, and you got bad stuff in the tank, and it have a possibly bad fuel tank itself. So those are the things that, Aaron, I would recommend that you do to start with. Fuel filter, and check the fuel pressure, and then make sure that the engine is running at proper temperature. Hey, thanks for your call. Let me know how it works for you, and we'll take another call from Sam. Sam, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic from Ohio.
Well, hey, I've got an 06 Honda Odyssey. When the echo light is on, the van is missing.
Okay.
And when I accelerate, it smooths out.
That's right, because when the eco light is on, the engine transmission shifting is speeded up. So if you were riding a bicycle and you took off from a standing start on level ground, you might go first, second, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth. If you were going up a hill, or if you're going down a hill, you might go first, fifth, 10th, because it's easy on the legs. So what's the point? The faster in timing you can upshift a vehicle's transmission, the slower you can run the engine according to road speed. So if you're going 30 miles an hour in first gear, you got an engine screaming. If you're going 30 miles an hour in fifth gear, you have an engine that's barely turning over. Here's the challenge. Because the engine doesn't have the gear torque multiplication that gears give you, the engine load per cylinder is increased, and you will get misfire that you normally wouldn't get. That's the reason that your car is missing under the Eco, because it's seeing a higher load at lower RPM. It doesn't like that. And that could be a cylinder that's too lean. It could be a ignition, more than likely, it misfire. And so if you'll share this information, Sam, with your local service shop, take that service shop for a ride, and so let me show you what this car does. And you can probably best duplicate this under a slight, moderate uphill at 45, 50, 55 miles per hour, where you barely give it a little gas, and it misfires. Does that hit you?
That acts like it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, my friend, thanks for your call, and happy holiday to you from Ohio. Thank you. Let's go with Steve and take a call from Steve. Steve with an 02 BMW. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, great job. I have a BMW, older model. It's like a 2002.
Yes, sir.
Got high mileage.
Right.
And it doesn't burn, or it's not smoking, and it's not leaking oil.
Right.
But I have to add oil every now and then.
Yeah, that's a common, if you read the owner's manual, that's common. In fact, recently we had a gentleman that had a Soul, I think it was. I forget what I think it was. And the book, the owner's manual, and I disagreed with this, but it was not only did this caller have one, I had a customer that called me and said, I've got one of those, and my owner's manual says the same thing, a quart of oil every 600 miles. Now, I can assure you, if my car used a quart of oil every 600 miles, I'd know that I had a problem. How much does your car use every 1,000 miles?
I would say
half quart?
A quart and a half.
Oh, well, then there are many reasons that happens, and cars that don't smoke but use that much oil usually have oil rings that are stuck. And you say, well, why doesn't it smoke? Well, it's because the oil is on the cylinder wall. The ring doesn't scrape it down when it comes down. And so there's some oil, too much excessive oil on the cylinder wall. And as a result, it gets flashed off when the cylinder fires. And Steve, let me share this with you. Over the years, when API has changed an SAE oil classifications, and there's all sorts of, I won't go into that except to tell you that one oil is a greener oil, and I don't mean in color, but it is more environmentally friendly because it doesn't burn like another oil that it's compared to. And what they did to call it a better environmentally friendly oil was they elevated the flash point of the oil. So if you've got oil that burns at 200 degrees and I got the same oil, but I've got additives and mine burns at 500 degrees, my engine is not going to burn as much oil as your engine because your oil is going to flash off when the piston goes down. So you multiply that times 10, and you say, well, gosh, that's a lot of oil. But let me share this with you. On a V8 engine that uses a drop of oil, one drop of oil every time it fires, get this, that engine will use a quart of oil in 2 miles if it used a drop of oil every time one of the 8 cylinders fired. So here you've got a vehicle. So what can you do? There are some chemicals that you can use to help and try to unstick the rings, but basically I've not seen that work. So basically you have to keep adding oil to that machine until you get ready to buy an engine, and I will tell you that's an expensive proposition. You probably be better to trade the car. Any questions?
To try the greener oil, would that be a thicker?
No.
Buy a thicker oil to see if it.
Well, the oil that you're buying, the oil that you buy today, like Mobil One, all that what I just talked about has already been transferred to new oil. All the newer oils are green oils, so that's just part of the new series. Like I put a new set of tires on my Viper as a 01, and I put a new set of tires on it 3 years ago, and they drove better than ever before. Same tire, but it was a design. So I updated the drivability of my car, like what I was saying with yours. So there's nothing you can do externally except replace the engine, because that's what I believe that you have a problem with that car. So again, you might want to think about trading it. You got it?
I appreciate it. I think it's time to trade it.
There you go. I saved you money. Thanks for your call. Be safe. Thank you for your call. I had a gentleman that called me this week that had a head gasket problem. He said, what's an easy way to fix that vehicle? I said, well, is the engine overheating? He said, well, yeah, unless I don't drive it. Well, and then he said he wanted to know how much it would cost. So ultimately, without taking the engine apart to find out what all else is wrong with it, I recommended that he try a stop leak. And this worked for this customer. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it's called K-Seal. The letter K, seal. And You can save money with K-Seal. You don't have to drain the system or worry about what type of antifreeze in the cooling system. Just shake it up, pour it in, and get back on the road. Check it out. Go to kseal.com. And check us out on Bobby Likis Car Clinic next week, 10 to noon. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Need auto parts? Get them with a click at the new O'ReillyAuto.com. Shop online and we'll ship the order to your home, or you can pick it up for free at the O'Reilly Auto Parts store nearest you. The choice is yours. Shop the way that's convenient for you and get the exact parts you need to get the job done right. O'ReillyAuto.com. Parts for your car wherever you are.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Looking for a new career path? Interested in serving your local community? Become a teacher. American Board for the Certification of Teacher Excellence can help you earn a teaching certificate in a year or less. American Board's online program allows you to set your own schedule for a price that fits your budget. Visit www.americanboard.org. That's americanboard.org for more information on how you can become a teacher.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. You're